at DreamHack Atlanta, it was comprised of old Overwatch pros, and there's a reason. As you mentioned, it carries over the same skill set, the same game sense, albeit with a little bit of differential, of course, character role and everything like that, maps, of course, but it's all carried over. So if you have those fundamentals already built into your system from playing Valorant, playing Overwatch, even playing your other shooters like Call of Duty, for example, or Halo, things like that, or R6, they all carry over a little bit in each other. So it's really, really nice to see, people that are so talented in one game and still are able to, replicate that talent in another. And just as we're seeing here in Marvel Rivals, but we do have our second game coming up. We are going to go into the ban phase momentarily. And again, we're also still down one, so we are going to continue to have Central Buck South come in a disadvantage, blank statement, disadvantage in a 5v6, but they look pretty fine doing it, I can't lie, and they might even have fun, with this little challenge at the helm, and they're all running Iron Man, and we are going to Symbiotic Surface.
Honestly, I gotta respect it. I really do. I can't lie. I think that this is it's funny enough, and yeah, funny is good. On the opposite side, Ferndale gonna have the Groot on the line. Iron Man does seem to be in play as well. They have that Jeff to kind of bring it back from the last game, keeping that in the pocket. We will be seeing, funny enough, honestly, I don't know how I feel about the dueling potential that you do get from the Iron Fist taken off the line. I wouldn't have expected it from Central Buck South, but I don't hate it. You would imagine that with how kind of like loosened they're gonna have to be playing without that sixth man, it does kind of give Ferndale a little bit of an advantage to pick up an Iron Fist, as if you can isolate a target, it certainly will provide value, but without that possibility, who knows what they're gonna have to ban out next.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, and I feel like this is also a missed opportunity to not ban out Iron Man early, right? I would have really wished that we had seen that come into fruition, because it doesn't really seem like Ferndale are all too keen on playing a hit scan like Hela, for example, which we had seen was protected earlier from Ferndale, but I digress. But with that being said, it's a little bit interesting to me, so that's why if Central Buck South were able to use their first pick on Iron Man, they're gonna also use the ban onto the Hela, and again, it's just to make sure this Iron Man from Snapthorn just gets the utmost value, the utmost kills as possible, and uptime. With that being said, the Bucky also banned out from Ferndale. Good reason. Kraken's impact extremely, extremely strong, especially into Jeff, with whom they want to play here. So that's where you're also seeing the Jeff protection. So Central Buck South, there's three picks and bans left. Let's see where they go.
We are going to be seeing the final picks coming on through as Central Buck South. What else could they possibly want to keep away? But it will not, it will not be something that they have hovered. I wanna say why. I mean, who knows? But, Ferndale, they are going to have that final ban. So we'll see what they do inevitably go for. And, yeah, I don't know. What do you kind of expect to see from Central Buck South?
Well, Central Buck South decide to the last ban is going to be that Penny Parker. Very good. You don't want that Penny Parker to set up on that first point with Spider Mines and Nest everywhere with that Rocket team up, right? Very smart, very proactive, I would say. Ferndale are kind of looking down the barrel right now as they are down one. They're gonna opt to actually ban out the Black Widow, a character again you don't really see that often, but she has gotten a good amount of adjustments, some buffs, and as well to her kit. So why not take it away from anyone who is a sharpshooter in their own right? Instead, I'm the Mad Lad has gone over to the Punisher here, another character that has been very prominent and also will be the good check against Snapthorn's Iron Man. Finally, something that can maybe put some pressure onto the duelist in that regard. Otherwise, Ferndale is running a relatively solid defense composition for Symbiotic Surface, for all things considered. Central Buck South, in that spawn room, things can always change up, but they are looking at a pretty damage-heavy comp here. Maybe without a Vanguard, as we're seeing the quickest kind of figure out where we want to go.
We are going to be seeing the Jeff following on Maddock, as these two, I mean, they're just going to have that slow walk to the point, and Central Buck South starting on. We'll see what they can find, as this, you'd imagine that when in the 5v6, despite having a lot of firepower in the arsenal, not every fight will be won. And if Ferndale can find staggers, that could leave them in a good spot. What they need to do is die as a team or live as a team. If you allow one player to get staggered, you'll be putting CB South in a 5v5, giving them that equalizer they're desperately looking for. but now Central Buck South going on in aggressively to start us off on map number 2.
And Snapthorn's gonna be the first one to take some blood here, up against, you know, what you would consider to be the Iron Man counter of the Punisher. That Gamma Beam will be able to take down Astro while trying to evade the character, and both Flyers taken down almost single-handedly again by this Iron Man. Very much a big problem for Ferndale to take care of, and they are only relying on the Groot to stall a tiny bit, but you can only do so much without the rest of your team there to help sustain. Oh, we forgot about the Black Panther for a second there, but taken down easily. They're gonna get all 3 points here, Cherry. So at this point, Central Buck South are gonna look really good time-wise.
Certainly looking as if this roster is everything they could possibly have asked for. 5 minutes 30 on the clock as they already start their domination. The quick stir going in once more. Arteme following up. It will be Fireball, and Arteme working hand and hand, taking this unison, bringing the opposition to a halt as they keep this point moving.
What's unfortunate here, Cherry, is that Ferndale never really had the opportunity to set up on these high grounds. That makes the second point so difficult to work against if you're attacking, usually, right? So when they weren't unable to position correctly and stay in that positioning, Central Buck South were just walking all over them. And more so, they're still walking on top of them. We're expecting, of course, Blaze on the objective, kind of chilling. Yeah, I get you. Chilling on the card, making sure it's moving, it's progressing through the second point of Symbiotic Surface. But Ferndale are, once again, not able to position themselves. They can't even find a full reset whatsoever without somebody always going down first. Like that.
Seeing Blaze picking up the first as the Mad Lad takes the early aggression, forcing a 5v5. Now Central Buck South gonna have that equalized position, and with their opposition heading into these slow, steady corridors without much room to work with, Central Buck South seems to have this point on total lockdown to secure the next point.
They should on paper, and there it is. The cap does come into fruition here for Central Buck South. We do see, of course, the 5-minute and 40-second time bank given to these guys, and again, losing out on your Hawkeye, as we did see I'm the Mad Lad trying to find something that would work on paper, but it's just not really, we're not passing the test quite yet. There still needs some troubleshooting in that regard for Ferndale, but they have 3 ultimates, 4 ultimates that they should use here. They just need to get that reset.
South 5 ults in hand. Certainly the firepower has been collected as they look to take a very dominant map number 2 to close out this series. The round diff has been good for them so far this season, and it seems to be getting even better. As we look towards Fireball, going in, gonna be good. Taking the storm, pulling everyone in. A double kill, looking to make it a triple, as it will be Central Buck South hitting the brakes on Ferndale.
100%. Suddenly Prison does get used by Mad Deck, but it might be a little bit too late here. It doesn't really look like it got any value. Blaze is in the middle of the It's Jab at the moment, looking to find that spawn area. Mad Lad finds a pick here, thankfully, but it's a little bit too late. The Pulsar cannon actually does get negated by the shield. Whoa! Whoa! What was that meter M there? Quick hit! Just up in the air, just free balls it onto the Iron Man. Yeah, you're crazy. They have gone for almost a full cap here. Slight stagger, slight contesting, but not for very long here, Cherry. It's a full cap with a 4 minutes and 12 seconds. 12 seconds extra than they had started with.
They're certainly on a little bit of a bad situation, as they are going to be swapping sides, needing to play this offense perfectly if they want to be able to take this game back onto their hands. Astro at the end looking to make that go into their favor. They were barely clinging on. That's something you look towards Ferndale. They have been good. We've seen signs of life from them. It's been shown, but unfortunately, when it comes down to it, they're just not playing in unison, and that kind of combination plays that they look towards, making those chemical reactions and finding value off of those connections that they try to get onto their opposition, it just hasn't been looking as straightforward as CB South would have liked. Certainly, the team fights have been going their way, but Ferndale, they need to be able to bring it back, and we know they can. We've seen it from them in previous series. We've seen the iterations that this roster's come up with, and if they can try and get that value, it could be their game to win.
So interestingly enough, Central Buck South has opted to not play Vanguards here whatsoever on the defense phase. They're going for a triple, in fact, sorry, not triple, quadruple strategist backline here. The Atom for that soul bond, and of course the cover revival. You have It's Jeff from Blaze. You have Luna Snow with, of course, Fabled Worlds. Having been nerfed, I believe, from 12 seconds to only 10 seconds at this moment for her ultimate, but it's still relatively strong. Fire also coming on the Ultron, a character that had just gotten a couple of nerfs to his own kit to at least mitigate exactly what we're playing here. The freeze comes into fruition onto the newly found Daredevil from the skull. And it's the collapse and self-healing that allows the quickest one to actually be able to stay alive. And more so, we're on the flank on this Luna Snow, finding kills either way. Good freeze, good elimination, and it's a 4K for the Luna Snow main.
Unfortunately, the Quickster swapping off of that tanky character position, instead opting in for a little bit more of that assassination type. And now as Central Buck South playing this defense all but perfectly, we look towards the aggression as it will be Ferndale making a good play. The Skull Ripper trying to rip open space. Unfortunately, just going to be a little bit too light on that taking as they couldn't secure the kill. But it will be still Ferndale to try and get the follow-up. Matic down, unfortunately, barely cusping a kill. It will be Blaze to keep up the aggression. Arteme as well coming on out as Ferndale barely scraping out a loss.
Just barely doing so as well, but they're getting completely full held by pretty much this extremely stabilizing comp, right? All they're doing is keeping the icicle on this Iron Man. They're keeping the Iron Man in the radius of the Ultron. They're leaving bubbles down so Snapthorn can go down and grab a little bit of healing output, right? So that's what you're saying. Ferndale stop over. They have the Rocket Raccoon now, so Beer Machine is alive and well at the very least. So the res could come to fruition into play at some point for Ferndale, but these one shots from the Hawkeye are not coming to fruition. We're not getting the same value from our own Iron Man. So what can we do? I'm saying maybe a Vanguard will help a little bit here. Maybe a Strange or something like that.
Are going to be seeing Snapthorn pulling back into the action as Ferndale trying to come back on out as they will have the respawns coming in. Team fight gonna be here, but I'm the Mad Lad. Unfortunately, will be collapsing as now Ferndale forced into a 5v5 once more. Matic getting taken off a line. Arteme gonna be able to secure the kill. We look towards the heights as Ferndale needing to steal away a victory, and it will be good as it's gonna be the Skull Ripper almost securing a kill on the Iron Man, but Lehman actually able to do it. Blaze gets taken off the line. Ferndale showing signs of life, but how will they follow up? Unfortunately, CB South, despite losing a couple players, will inevitably take their demise.
Well, they got one tick on here. They kind of forgot about Lemon on the Black Panther in the back line. Funnily enough, right? So there's something there, and they have a minute left to get the other two ticks. So the objective has gotten a lot easier for Ferndale here. And Central South have 3 ultimates, 3 very long-standing ultimates. I can do so much work here. The Revival, the Fabled Worlds, and of course that Pulsar Cannon, both of which are all 3 of which definitely can put the stop to a lot of Ferndale's tracks here. And they're doing it so again, just making sure that these guys are not able to walk freely into this territory.
Seeing final fight territory coming on in. 40 seconds remain. Could be this first kill coming in. Double kill as Snapthorn pulling down the Skull Ripper as well as Matic. Unfortunately, Ferndale closing out another loss. Lehman, one of the better players we've seen tonight, unfortunately going to be collapsing. The keystone to play behind for Ferndale going to be down for the count as now they need to make the comeback, but the Skull Ripper falls. And barely Ferndale unable to take that first tick they were able to get and bring it to a second, as 15 seconds are all they have remaining. But CB South putting a stranglehold over this game as they leverage their aggression and they take this game number 2 for a 2-0 series as they go up in the standings 5-0 for an undefeated season.
Absolutely fantastic work from the Central Bucks South. I mean, also doing it in a 5v6 the entire time. Very commendable. Really showcases their mechanical, I guess, superiority to an extent against Ferndale. Very well done from these guys. And I will say, this is looking so good in their records, as you mentioned. The Quickster, I can say quickest one. The Quickster does get that MVP for good reason. 45 eliminations and no deaths. On top of that, gain 23 of the final hits, according to the MVP screen here, or the stat screen here, which is very impressive. Only the humble 950 healing done between 2 rounds. Love to see that. But otherwise, Very well done. Good effort from Ferndale for sure. But today, Central Bucks South were able to get that victory and take it all the way through.
CB South, a dominant force. The Titans go up in the 2-0. Very good standing for sure, despite having a little bit of a lackluster start, as we did see them forgetting to cap the point at the start of map number 1. They just had so much firepower within this arsenal to be able to keep the game in their favor, not conceding anything. And Ferndale, you might say, oh, it was dominant, but that just goes to show this team, they were respected. Central Bucks South, they knew they had to play their all tonight, and they did exactly that. They gave nothing over for free, as Ferndale, they're a powerful opponent, as they are going to be bringing themselves down to the 1-3 within the standings, but certainly they still have opportunities to be able to keep themselves within the playoffs, as now they will be tied for the 4 seed within the Colonial Division. Penn Trafford will await for seeing who clinches that number 4 spot, but it is still going to be their chances available to be able to get to a playoff spot.
100%. And on top of that, we do not have just that one game, everybody. We have one more game coming at you in just about 10 minutes on the dot. We have South Fayette coming up against Penn Trafford High School coming up here at 4 o'clock Eastern. So again, in 10 minutes. So we're going to go to a very quick break, get our team situated and ready to go. And we'll see you guys on the other end for that second series. We'll be right back.